The crypto markets are pumping this week. But it's May. You know the old adage, sell in May and go away. I feel like this year it's gonna be like sell in July and go away, maybe sell in August and go away. So here's the question we'll explore in today's video. Should we be slamming the sell button on our Bitcoin and cryptocurrency bags over the course of the month, given the Bitcoin's at relative highs, given that the stock market historically underperforms each year over the summer months, so the trad fry bros go out to their beach houses in Amalfi Coast and whatever, stuff like that. Winter month, they're all bored, they're just sitting there smashing buy button all the time. That's the question now. It all sounds very logical, but what's the data actually say about Bitcoin specifically? And that's gonna give you a pretty good indication of where the entire crypto market's at. So let's find out. Now, before we get to our test, let's first set the table. So historical data from Fidelity says that May through October, which we'll call the summer, sorry, Southern Hemisphere people, okay? Okay, anyway, on average, generates lower returns in the stock market than November through April, which we'll call the winter. Now, I won't bore you as to all the exact details why this happens, but there's some real specific reasons, so feel free to go Google this yourself. But specifically, according to Fidelity anyway, since 1990, the S&P 500 has averaged roughly 2% gains each year over the summer, compared to 7% gains each year over the winter. This applies to large caps, small caps, and also global stocks. So there you have it. Stock growth averages 2% in the summer. It's not terrible, but it ain't no 7%, is it? 7% in the winter, those are good times, baby. Now, given these numbers, we just have to pause here for a second and question the entire premise of sell in May and go away. Does this advice even really make sense, given that there's still positive growth on average throughout the summers, and the tax liability when you sell, is it really worth all the bullshit? Well, unless you can get higher than 2% returns elsewhere, maybe not. Plus whatever your tax bill is going to be and all the bullshit regarding that. And that's basically what this Fidelity report concludes as well. And obviously they're not talking about altcoins, which you know how that crazy market goes, man. We're not talking about dirty stonks here anyway. We love our stonks. They're dirty, they're gross, but they're nice at the same time. They're kind of comforting dirty anyway. We're talking about Bitcoin, we're talking about crypto. Real man market, okay? So here's the test. It's actually really simple. Well, actually, before we get into that, guys, if you're trading these crazy crypto markets, and I know you're trading these crypto markets, you want a great place to do that, an exchange that meets you where you are, you gotta check out BitUnix, okay? Available to everyone, everywhere. All you have to do, click the link down below, get signed up, no KYC, no VPN. All you have to do, boom, click the link, off you go. You'll get $10 just for starting your account, $400 in deposit bonus. You deposit $2,000, you get $400 back. $1,000 to get $200 back, 20% deposit bonus up to a total bonus of $400 and a $2,000 trading bonus. They got all the big coins, deep liquidity. What you want to trade, chances are they got it to trade, okay? Link down below, go check it out. Start trading the way that trading is meant to be. So what are Bitcoin's average returns over the past 10 years during the summer months compared to winter months? Well, some pretty clean data here is going to give us guidance that we need on this whole sell in May and go away kind of question here. And obviously, it also gives us insight on what to do with our altcoin bags, because where goes Bitcoin, there goes shitcoins. As what's good or bad for Bitcoin typically tends to move the entire market. So, pulled the data, ran the mathematical calculations, my big old nerd calculator over here, okay? The result is that over the last 10 years, Bitcoin has seen an average return of 55% over the summer, compared to an average return of 56% over the winter.
You're completely sure of the math.
Look at him. That's my quant.
Your what?
My quantitative. My math specialist. Look at him. You notice anything different about him?
So based only on this historical data, should you sell your bags in May and go away? Well, not really, unless you want to take a ride on the pain train. Be sidelined. Watch Bitcoin pump without you. It's never a good feeling, is it? So look, the numbers kind of speak for themselves here. When it comes to Bitcoin and crypto, the data says ignore the sell in May and go away mantra. Now perhaps you're worried. You're wondering, man, this time's probably different, isn't it? Did you see the container stuff, the trucking stuff? I saw the video you made, Lark. I unsubscribed. How dare you make this kind of video? I know, guys. Look, the data says one thing, What about 2025? Our current macro backdrop, Trump's tariffs, the economy, inflation's coming back, Jerome Powell won't lower the interest rates. Anything else justifies cutting your bags now and taking off for the summer? Well, for me, the answer is no. Let me give you my perspective on the macro environment one more time here. And look, initially I had thought we're going to cut some bags, some altcoin bags leading into summer. I don't think that's the case anymore. On the one side, we've got the bears. The bears are worried about two things. The first, of course, historically high stock valuations. The second, of course, is the Don himself, and particularly Donald Trump's tariffs and all the unknowns and potential damage and potential chaos that all that kind of stuff can cause. The second order effects that those tariffs are going to start seeing seep into the economy. We have an integrated global economy. Supply chains just stopped overnight, and it's going to take a long time to move that stuff back around. So that makes sense. I get the bear. I get your dirty bears, but I get you, okay? On the other side, we got the crypto bulls. Giga Chads, ripped six-packs, bulls, man. These bulls are foaming at the mouth at the absolute flood of catalysts that have lined up for Bitcoin specifically, which will sort of trickle down to the rest of crypto. Insane global corporate adoption, U.S. federal and state strategic reserves, new companies launching specifically just to buy Bitcoin, reserves in other countries being talked about, ETFs gobbling up shit tons of Bitcoin. The fact that we should be in the midst of a 4-year supply shock right now, it all makes sense. Everything's lining up. All the tailwinds are there. We got to 109K with the kind of interest rates we have right now. Why can't we go higher? Now I'm a bull. Sometimes it gets me in trouble, but it's for the reason I just stated. Plus, one more, and that's that we live in a heads number go up, tails number go up economy, right? Either the economy goes up on its own or the central bankers step in with their money printers. Now, of course, you have to have a bit of a crisis before that happens, but long term, it always goes up. They make it happen. That's the world we're living in. The game is rigged, folks. The losers of this game are the ones holding fiat, and that's how I see it. And if you want evidence for this, go look at the global M2 chart. Start asking yourself some serious questions about it. So, is this summer different? Well, it's not really for me. My bags, especially Bitcoin, are just going to stay packed. Best performing asset in this heads number go up, tails number go up economy. Altcoins, it's a different perspective. We're in and out of those, take profits sometimes, hold some, buy some new ones, whatever. That's Bitcoin, okay? The rest of the crypto market, it's hard to, let's say, have long-term conviction in a lot of these coins. Oh yeah, okay, some of the big coins, sure. But realistically, right now we have global M2 pumping. That global M2 could actually see the markets pump way longer than most people think they're going to pump. And it doesn't mean that summer is going to be perfect or it's going to be up only or it's going to be 20% every single day for the rest of the year. It just doesn't work like that. There are always massive pullbacks, okay? And as those altcoin bags pump, take money off the table. At some point, the music stops. There's a giant crash, a giant leverage unwind, or whatever the heck ends up happening. Global M2 would say that's likely to happen in like August or September, maybe October, and then we pump into the end of the year, right? But it's always a crash. There's always a crash that's around the corner. There's always something to worry about. Remember, bull markets climb the wall of worry. Bear markets walk down the steps of worry, and market crashes jump off the cliff of worry. There's always worry in markets. There's always risk in markets. You're investing. Guess what? Anything you do with money is a risk. Whether holding fiat, gold, bonds, everything's a risk, and everything has its own pros and cons. And right now, Bitcoin, the best game in town. And I'm going to keep playing that game. And yeah, we're going to keep gambling on altcoins because we're degenerates and we're all gambling addicts apparently. But anyway, it is what it is, guys. Thanks for watching.